Hey everyone, I've got another one for you today. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new stories. Thank you as always for your continued support. Now let's get into it. So there I was, stranded, on a beach. Not just any beach, mind you, but one that looked like it was ripped straight from a travel magazine. The kind of place where you'd expect to find a luxury resort just around the corner. White sand, blue water, palm trees. You know the drill. It was the epitome of paradise, the kind of place people dream about when they're stuck in a cubicle. Postcard perfect, except for the whole no food situation. No beach bar, no snack shack, not even a coconut in sight. Just me and my growling stomach. See, when the cruise ship brochure mentioned exciting unplanned excursions, I was picturing something with a margarita machine, not a rogue wave and a lifeboat with a hole in it. Talk about false advertising. My stomach rumbled. I patted my pockets. Nothing. Not a granola bar, not even a stick of gum. Just empty pockets and a sinking feeling. Not even a stale cracker crumb. I was starting to think I might have to resort to eating sand. I did find a promotional mint from the cruise line. A tiny, insignificant mint. Voyage of a lifetime, it proclaimed. The irony was almost too much to bear. Irony, thy name is Peppermint. I sighed. This was not how I imagined my vacation going. Okay, Bryson, time to get a grip. This wasn't so bad. I had sunshine, a beautiful view, and the sound of waves crashing. It could be worse, right? I had. More sand than one man could ever need. Enough to build a sandcastle empire if I wanted to. And I had a mint. Things could be worse. At least I wasn't completely alone. I had my thoughts, my imagination, and a mint to keep me company. Everyone knows the island survival drill. Find food. It's the first thing that comes to mind when you're stranded in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by nothing but trees and the sound of waves crashing against the shore. Coconuts seemed like a good bet. They were the most obvious choice, hanging tantalizingly high in the palm trees. Except they were up those trees, clinging for dear life, almost mocking my hunger. I tried shaking the trunk. Nothing. Not even a single coconut budged. It was as if they were glued to the tree. I jumped up and down, waving my arms like a madman, hoping to dislodge at least one. But the coconuts remained stubbornly out of reach. A lizard did a push-up on a nearby rock, seemingly unimpressed by my antics. It was almost as if it was mocking me. Next plan, brute force. I found a particularly hefty coconut lying on the ground and hurled it at the tree trunk with all my might, hoping to knock some down. The coconut bounced off with a resounding thud, narrowly missing my head on the rebound. It was a close call, and I realized I needed a new strategy. The lizard, now doubled over in what I swear was laughter, pointed a mocking claw at the fallen fruit. It was as if nature itself was having a good laugh at my expense. Right, so much for coconuts. My grand plan had failed miserably, and I was left feeling more desperate than ever. My stomach growled again, a deep, rumbling protest that echoed through the empty island. It was a stark reminder of my predicament. I decided to take a nap. Maybe a little rest would clear my mind and help me come up with a better plan. Maybe I'd dream of cheeseburgers. At least in my dreams, food was within reach. The case of the singing seashells. I woke to the sound of singing. It was surreal, almost like a dream. The melody was so enchanting that I couldn't help but feel like I was in a fairy tale. Beautiful, melodic singing like a choir of angels. Or maybe just really talented clams. The sound was so pure and harmonious that it felt like it was coming from the very heart of the ocean. I stumbled towards the ocean, drawn by the siren song. Each step felt like I was being pulled by an invisible force, urging me to discover the source of this magical music. There, nestled amongst the rocks, were a cluster of clams, their shells opening and closing in perfect harmony. It was as if they were performing a well-rehearsed symphony just for me. "You hear that, right?" I whispered to a passing crab. The crab seemed indifferent, but I was convinced that it too could hear the enchanting melody. The crab, unimpressed, scuttled sideways and disappeared into a crevice. Clearly, it had more important things to do than listen to singing clams. Right, talking to crustaceans. Clearly, I was delirious with hunger. My mind must have been playing tricks on me, conjuring up this bizarre scenario. I decided to ignore the clams. As fascinating as they were, I needed to focus on finding something to eat and getting my bearings. Singing or not, they didn't look particularly appetizing. The thought of eating them made my stomach churn. Besides, who knew what kind of musical numbers they were capable of if they felt threatened? I didn't want to risk turning a peaceful concert into a chaotic opera. I wasn't about to become the star of Clam Chowder the musical. With a final glance at the singing clams, I turned away, determined to find a more sensible solution to my predicament. Desperate times, desperate measures. I found an empty coconut shell, scrawled an SOS message on a scrap of paper, thank goodness for that mint wrapper, and tossed it into the sea. A passing seagull eyed it with interest, then, with a disdainful squawk, dropped a half-eaten fish onto my message and flew away. "Thanks, feathered friend," I muttered, but I was hoping for a pepperoni. As if on cue, a small motorboat sputtered towards the shore. A man in a bright orange shirt jumped out, holding a pizza box. "One extra-large pepperoni, extra anchovies?" he asked, looking around the deserted beach with a confused expression. I could only stare, speechless, at the unexpected bounty. Maybe this island life wasn't so bad after all.